The inspiration for this building is a direct and overt expression of its thermodynamic modelling and its structural analysis, and we tested that through each season of the year and at various times during the day, and let the computer modelling tell us what the shape of the building should be. When you allow the building to be what it wants to be and grow out of its place and let the breeze come up and over and shape a building, it's inevitably going to be organic. It comes out of its place, it comes out of its position on this beautiful island, and therefore, by definition, it has to be organic. It was really crucial for me on this absolutely beautiful site, almost in its original state where the original inhabitants could paddle by, to make sure that this very large building really on the site was not visible from the natural surrounds. So I took a lot of effort to hide this building within the trees in a cutting that used to be there and hide it really from vision from all over. This site is an island in the middle of the beautiful Hawkesbury River, which means every single piece of the building has to come across in a barge. So the first thing I had to do in the design process was measure the two barges that come over here, get the constraints of that. 6.7 metres came out to be the largest piece of material I could bring out here. And so bringing this quite large building out to the site by barge was an integral part of the design process, and also an integral reason for it ending up being steel. The wonderful thing about steel is you can have a beam that does its work structurally, cut it up, put it onto a barge, and when you bolt it back together, it reforms itself with exactly the same strength. Very few materials do that. So steel gave me the portal shape, gave me the ability to cut it up, put it on a barge and bring it over here, and ended up back at the original strength. I wanted this building to be almost the essence of shelter, just like a piece of bark bent over and sitting on sticks, which meant the end walls became really important because I could have made enclosure with the end walls. And you obviously can't just have glass because we have quite serious structural issues of wind load at the end of the buildings. So I was able to use quite fine steel elements that then formed almost architectural lines and yet get the strength to withstand 100 km/h wind. We study each of these sites very carefully and understand where the breezes come from. It's that time when you're an architect, when you're by yourself on the site and you can feel your feet crunching in the leaves and understand the flow of the breezes. And I realised we could manipulate the shape of the building to get a really significant natural ventilation system happening that could be augmented by the prevailing breezes and changed by the direction of the breezes. And then I started setting up a whole process of movement of air through the building. The shape of this building actually celebrates the flow of water. So when rainwater comes down, it stays by surface tension attached to the building and drops vertically here, whereas leaves and branches, the risk in a fire, drops completely vertically from the curve of the roof above us, and there's a separation between the water and the leaves. You don't have to clean your gutters. The water's then collected, filtered and reused. But if you pick up one of these stones, it's particularly cold. And so the air coming off the river comes across the damp grasses, across these very cool river stones, and is sucked up into the building by a natural convection system. So this is air conditioning, but in a natural way. It was really important to me that the building sat in its environment, and I was thinking about the colours a lot in this because it needs to be recessive. And the sort of colours I was starting to imagine, I suddenly realised were here on site right in front of me. So if you take this gum tree, it's a gum tree that's got 10 or 12 colours in it when you look at it very carefully, and every single colour in the building has been inspired by the tree. It's a rare time in an architect's life you start to think about the poetry of a building, you know, the rustle of the leaves, the sound of the wind. And to get from the thought to that level of clarity in the end building is very rare. And this is one of the buildings I have no regrets about. It's come out almost perfectly how I imagined it. This frugality of materials and essence of shelter, oh, I think I'm very proud of it. I wouldn't change much at all.